Hey, everybody, and welcome to my second of these live recap and review episodes for The Walking Dead's new season. This episode was titled "Who Are You Now?" and it's very female-centric episode, which is something that we knew would happen this season. We've been told about it, even though without very much fanfare at all. Lauren Cohen has left the show, so. Um, Maggie is no longer on the show. One big thing was in the credit sequence at the beginning of this episode, uh, uh, Lauren and Andy are both no longer on there. So that's a big deal, major change. And it's kind of a lot of people are mad because it was sort of a disservice to her that it was her last episode in the show, and it was really overshadowed by Rick. But to be fair, Rick was basically the main character of the show, so it's. But in any way, this episode was. Yeah, I think Angela, Epic Zombie Killer. Thank you for joining us. I think Angela King is doing a fantastic job. I really like this season so far. It's just different, beautiful, and just better. It's a definite improvement on some of the problems that we had previous seasons. Rick was definitely missed, but even though it was just last week in the show, it's 6 years in the future, but his presence is definitely there. And like I said, this episode was very female centric. You had Carol showing she is still, you don't with Carol. You do not mess with Carol. So that was a big deal. And I really liked Magna and her group. I kind of like them. I love the actors that are involved with this. I'm blanking on the name of the guy, which is horrible, but he's really fantastic. I really like it. I think it's a nice addition. And it once again, it definitely. I like the whole uh, deaf angle as well. I like having a character like that in the show. It's a nice. It's a nice partnership with those two, and I'm really enjoying it. And like I said, this was all about women. This was very much a women-centric episode. Carol, Michonne, you've got Judith, who's definitely showing. I really, really like Judith in this. I'm loving her. She's fun. She's smart. The big thing, though, was I don't know if anybody really caught this as much. And of course, my boy here, Mr. Negan. And Mr. Negan, I thought this was appropriate for the season. It is sad. The line that Judith says about Carl and Rick and forgetting what their voices sounded like, that was a real wrenching line, and it was beautifully done. That whole scene was great. But I really liked. I really liked how this focused on that, because what's happening, and those of you who may not know this, is the fact that this is really preparing us for Alpha. And Alpha is the leader of the Whisperers, who we caught at the tail end of this episode. We heard them, and it was a really well done sound. I liked how they did it. I know it's freaking Eugene out. By the way, Eugene is a badass now. I love his whole thing. I miss the mullet, but I like the hair he's got. And yeah, I know. I am excited for the Whisperers. It's going to be great. I'm really stoked for this. Um, but yeah, it's really getting us set for this, because she is the alpha female of the Whisperer. She's the leader, and it's going to. You better be prepared for what's going to come down when this happens. Again, I've talked about this previously on the last episode, and it's going to be some brutal stuff that's going down when the Whisperers come to town. And this episode just was a real nice segue into that, and I really liked how they set it up. I really loved Carol. I loved Carol, showing that she is not to be trifled with. Still, she's just as brutal as she ever was when it came to people that threatened her people that she loves, especially her son. I love that whole thing. I love her and Ezekiel, and I'm really, really worried that if they follow the comic, things are going to not be happy for Carol for very much longer. So yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. And thank you, Epic Zombie Killer. You're fantastic. I love the comics as well. This storyline is going to be so great, and it's not just Alpha. We also have other just brutal female villains in the comics that are coming up that are just really good foils, and it's really important to establish how strong the women in this show are to take them on. It's going to be a real battle of wills. It's just fun to see this and to see these characters. I don't mind the time jump. I really like how this show's going. Yeah, and Ryan Hurst is coming as well. So we've got really good character actors in this show. I'm just really excited for it, and I think this change in the series is just what we needed. Angela is doing a fantastic job with this show. I love how it's filmed. I like that they've established these. It was getting old watching them struggle, and having the communities be so with it right now and strong is great. I like having these relationships be focused on, and it's really good to see. And I really like the seeing Negan talking. I do too. I hope she is too. If this stays that way, I hope Angela is the showrunner for the rest of the series, because she's doing a great job. But I'm really, really liking Negan in this episode. The little bit that we got of him, um, I like seeing him talking to Judith, because what you may not know if you haven't read the comics, and I really strongly suggest going and getting Comixology has This Is Negan on there. If you don't want to pay, I think it's $20 for the hardcover. But you find out that Negan was a phys ed teacher in a high school, so he has a definite kinship with children, even though he isn't the most nicely mouthed guy when it comes around them. But with Judith, I think it's sweet to see this relationship, and I think as well, you don't get to see his reaction to Rick's supposed loss, and I think he saw Rick as an equal, and I think he respected Rick. Oh yeah, thank you. Yes, Epic Zombie Killer agrees. Negan is fantastic. But I think that is something that is a great character bit that Jeffrey Dean Morgan really has in himself. He just is a neat, affable guy, and that's why you can't help but love this dude right here. You can't help but not love Negan in this show, and I love how he created him and made him have layers. He could have just been, in the comics he does as well, but if he did it wrong, it could have been just bad. But in this scene, you see that side of him come out, and it's nice and humanizing, and you know it's just really great to see. And I love the relationship between the two of them, and I think it's going to grow. I get the feeling that Judith kind of sits on that stoop and talks to him a lot, and I think that's sweet, and it's been over this 6-year period that's been going on. So or actually, God, longer than that, because he's been in that hole a little while. So yeah, probably 8 years. Don't even want to think about the poo situation going on there, Negan poo. But yeah, I really, really, really love this. I think this was a great intro. I love the whole thing with Eugene. What is up with Gabriel getting the ladies? This is weird, isn't it? Are you weirded out by that? I'm kind of weirded out by Gabriel, the ladies' man. I don't know. he's not, he's Seth Gillen's a nice looking guy and everything, but not, not, yeah, not about that. It's weird. It's weird. What is it? Is it the creepy smile? Is that it? Is it the eyeball? I'm trying to figure it out. Don't get it. I would be all about the Eugene if I was Rosita. Just saying, he's smart. He's got the hair. Maybe that's the thing. You have Eugene with the hair, and then you have the bald priest, that minister that you got to pick. Are you for the baldies? Or are you for the hair guy? I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Don't get it. So yeah, I really, really love this episode. I like the imagery and what they're setting up. I love what they're doing with it. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think I'm curious to see how they explain what's going on with Maggie, and because they've already talked about figuring out a way to bring Lauren back for the show at some point. So we'll with her schedule hopefully working out. But I really, really loved it. I hope you guys did too. So we'll see next week. I believe we've only got only 2 more episodes until the break, which kind of sucks because you knew it was coming. It always does. So we've got 2 more episodes. They're probably going to pull what they do normally, where the last episode they're going to do the alpha reveal or something like that. Someone's going to die in the last episode before they go on their break until next. I think it's probably going to be in February. That's typically when it comes back. But we have 2 more episodes this month before we have our holiday break of The Walking Dead. And I got to say, I'm happy with what they're doing. I'm really digging it. It's fun. It's good again. It wasn't bad before, but this is definitely a different take. It's different vibe, and I'm digging it. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed this Babble Fest. And I'm loving how Angela is getting rid of annoying characters right away. Yes, thank you. She is. She's getting rid of the annoying characters. All those saviors are gone. No more savior scumbags. Thank you, Carol. And yeah, don't mess with the queen. You don't fuck with the queen, man. No, you don't. You can't do it. So yeah, I love you, Carol. Don't ever change, even with your long hair. She should have had dreads. I would have loved Carol with dreads. That would have been awesome. So anyway, I'm loving it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. How do I feel about Ezekiel? I love Ezekiel. I'm scared for Ezekiel because I've read the comics and I really, really like Carrie and I don't want him to go away. I love him and Carol. I love how in this king and queen relationship, the queen is the enforcer. I think that is cool, especially with Carol. Oh, I miss Shiva too. Shiva. I do love the fact that the horses are like, screw y'all, and they run. I think this is like, as I said, the last episode with the death or the supposed death of Rick Grimes was sort of like the horses' revenge. And I think it's funny that like the horses are just like, screw you, bye, and taking off on everybody. So good on you, horses. Don't let yourselves be eaten in the name of these idiots that just decide to stick around for big hordes of mad zombie chomping monsters. I think the white horse was really, I think he made it. In my brain, he made it. And I think the white horse was really representative too of Rick, because in the tales, the horse that Death rides was a white horse, a pale horse, I should say. And so that was interesting. That's a nice little poetic way to look at it. I think the white horse made it. In my brain, he did. The white horse went off to have happy horse babies and not ever be eaten and lived a long life. Yes, that's what happened to the horse. I hate it when they kill the horses on the show. God. So that's why I'm like, yeah, horses, take your revenge. But yeah, so I'll be back next week with another recap. Thank you, Epic Zombie Killer, for joining me and having some questions. That's great. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll do it again next week. So yeah, only 2 more episodes left until we get to our hiatus. But the show's kicking ass again, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it. And like I said, bye. And yeah, Carol, my Carol's back. Yeah, Carol, set fire to the bitches. Yes, yes, queen. So thank you guys, and I'll see you next week for another one of these. Bye.